Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the craziest story imaginable. And these stories now will go into suspended animation because I'm heading back out on the ocean. So I got to kind of take advantage of the time over the next week or two to get as many of these streams in. Because let that play out. And so there's so many of these giggity moments that can bring it home to everybody.
You have failed me for the last
so much time. Distraction for everybody. Oh crap, not that. Jeez, that was kind of rough. And so everybody's fed this constant what? What is this? Spider-Man went to this somehow. Superhero after superhero. Fable after fable to lull you into. And if you don't listen to the fable, they roll out the trolls. And what's wrong with you? You don't like superheroes? And they can just keep creating these things in the drop of a hat. And in the background, these mass murdering machines are full tilt. And so how many suicide bombers does it take to equal that? Huh? How many suicide bombers does it take to equal something that shoots 1.5 tons of depleted uranium a minute? Solution is to blow up a country. Not get rid of the problem, no, but blow up a country. Does that make any sense for anybody? I go in with these god-awful things. There's a 900-foot kill ratio. I don't even know if there's a suicide bomber on the planet can match a single bomb, 155 millimeter. These are depleted uranium. They're not tipped. They're not coated. And you put that in a neighborhood, it'll flatten everything for 900 feet, 3 football fields, all day, all night, month after month, year after year. And then they'll send it in, give it an overhaul, it'll do it for another decade. And then the guy who's in there, watched everybody dies, becomes a suicide bomber in desperation, and the focus goes on to the guy who couldn't take it anymore. And lashed back. He didn't have tanks to lob in these great. He didn't have a D's. This is a suicide. Every time these things fire around, they're worse than a suicide bomb. But then you have these despicable things where you can actually put biological, chemical, nuclear weapons on them. Insidious devices. How many suicide bombers does it take to equal one of these guys? And their career, I wonder. And in the future is what? You're going to do what? You're going to have robots show up and they're going to be the arbitrators? Yeah, you're going to try to talk reason to that? What kind of gibberish are they feeding you? It's truly like no one's having a conversation about this. We're all too focused on nonsense. Put your windmills on a mountain, you don't need nuclear. Have thermal heating coming up from the ground, you don't need nuclear. Like Iceland, just look at what Iceland's doing with their thermal. We can do that anywhere. And the technology is there. We can marry up computers and hydraulics quite a long time ago to create the robots, but we can't create energy because nuclear exists. Nuclear will take over that and destroy it and say, see, it doesn't work. That's the legacy of everything about nuclear. The show I got for everybody is incredible because we are running out of time. We have the death of the Pacific. But I got to talk about the other facets that's all around the death of the Pacific for you to understand the death of the Pacific, as bizarre as that's going to sound. And I'm forced to come out as much as I can because I'm heading back out there into that ocean again to research the radioactive fallout And that has to be done. So please give me a share if you can, wherever, however. It'd be highly appreciated. And so what you're looking at behind me is I'm going to take the operation, and whatever little bit I had left yesterday, I had to go order a tripod. I had to order a tripod for this bad boy because I can't lug it around. I can't lug that around everywhere, but we need that to get the top-notch 4K 60 frames a second footage. We're going to go and redo the experiment, and we're going to show it's actually an extinction event because the world won't listen the first time. We got to do it a second time to make it official, because otherwise it's not official, Dana. Over and over and over and over and over. Well, Dana, you only done it for 260 days and 15,000 miles. Why should we take your word when you provided all the documentation up at the nuclear proctologist? Well, because you didn't do it a second time, Dana. This is how it works. And so we're going to go out in the winter because there's no traffic in your face. There's no heat to deal with. There's the gas is cheaper. The hotel rooms are available if I'm lucky enough to have money to get one. And I'll be living on the boat, and I'll take on the whole coastline. You're looking at the entire coast of Canada and British Columbia. We documented it and put it up at our websites. We have literally went to the bottom of a person's soul to accomplish this. I can't tell the story enough, but unfortunately I'm heading back out there on the ocean. I probably won't get back until spring. It's going to take me incredible amount of smart to pull it off. The first time was pure luck that we survived it. The second time is going to be pure will. And it's very dangerous. You're out in the middle of nowhere on the ocean, and nobody knows where you're to or how you're doing. And so I can't stress that enough, how real that is. I can play you a clip at the end. So let's start, see the boat? Because there's barnacles everywhere. I got to leave it floating because I got a soft bottom. But it's collapsed. I'll show you that after the pontoon. There's Zoe. So I go into these wild places and do species counts, not just above water, but also underwater. This was such a rare picture. That's what makes this special. And so I told the operation as much as I can because it's a lot of work. Now I got another Zodiac. It'll be here this week, and a cabin that goes on the Zodiac to keep it dry and warm. This is going to be a whole new thing. You see, so when you're coming off these spots, it's horrible weather. It collapsed the pontoon. It's very dangerous. I'm sitting on the other pontoon to try to balance the boat. But I still got several miles to go, and it doesn't look so bad to you, but trust me, it's bad. This is a really bad day, as that winter was, and this winter will be. This will be pretty average for me. And it's a long way back to the boat. So I got a cabin this time. We got an extension for the outboard, and we got an extra kicker ordered for that little new Zodiac we got coming. So the extension makes the boat longer. It handles better in this weather, but you can't do freak all. But I'll be dry. I'll have heat on board, and it'll be a totally different, because we've already done this whole coastline. So this time, instead of running across, well, we're 27 miles off land. 27 miles from Banks Island. So we're coming from those islands over there, from say Cape Rose, the top of Canada, across to Banks Island to make the turn. And just going from Banks Island to the next island is a nightmare, trust me. But to go across this open spit, and that gets rough. We'll be taking the ferry this time, or I'm not going. I'm not going to shoot across, because it got rougher and rougher and rougher on the way back till I got to a crazy beating. And so we've done the whole coastline. I won't be having Zoe because we lost Zoe out on a bird count. And hopefully the weather is at least this good. It'll always be wet, and so the cabin on the boat will make a huge difference, right? Keep everything dry. You can keep everything on the boat all night long. You don't got to repack the boat, unload it constantly because everything is exposed to the weather, etc., etc., etc. We'll be doing color corrections and everything before I upload it. We'll be finding internet connections once a week and uploading the documentation to my website. Now, because I'm heading out. I'm in that mode now where I gotta go. I'm in war mode, and everybody knows that. Hopefully, and will excuse my indiscretions from here on out, because I'm in war mode. There's nothing can stop me. I have to get into a fighter's mentality at this stage to win this battle, to come back with the documentation. But I'm horrified that there's no one to replace me while I'm gone. There's no one there to rally the world to fight and yell back at these crazies that I'm going to show you coming up. I had a headache all night, and so I still done the work. At the end of it, I was ready to puke. I was so sick, but I kept going till I got the show ready for this morning. And this morning I couldn't get into my live stream over and over and over for about an hour and a half. And about a half an hour before I went live, then I was able to get in, patch in, and so on. It's been a long night, incredible struggle, and everybody out there is probably doing the same thing to themselves. Anybody that's regularly on my stream or daily on my streams, I don't know how you do it, right? I don't know how you persevere, how you can sit there each day and show up and support me. I just don't know where you find that. I'm thankful for it. I just don't understand how anybody can. I know how difficult it is for me to show up every day and do this, so it's, I don't, like I see so many familiar people each day show up and talk pertinently about the show. Obviously they're paying attention, they can't fake it. Therefore, one is left like myself to wonder, how do these people, how is that possible? That, because I think that I'm the only person who can sit here day after day, because this is such a grueling subject. It's such a brutal subject. It's such a heavy subject. It's such a heart-wrenching, gut-wrenching, complicated on top of that, technically just so they give you all these superheroes like I was showing you in the graphics. To talk about Alpha, Beta, and Gamma, they're superheroes. Like I showed you, that we're all fake, same as this is fake. See, man-made, what you're looking at here is from fission. Everything on the planet, like coal and oil and gas, solar panels, whatever you want to talk about, coal, anything is indigenous to the planet, and the body's already got an autoimmune set up for it. We're familiar with it. It's built into our DNA, so to speak, into our coding to adapt to the stuff that is created by the sun, which is fusion. Earth is fission, so that's why we have terrorist laws. This is why we have nuclear repositories, but yet we don't. And the ones we do have, allegedly, are the ones that they just went ahead and stuck it in a hole or worse. And I'll show you all of that. I'll show you the mining. I'll show you the processing coming up. But for 74 years, they told us like walking in sunshine or eating a banana or potato chips or like the rocks all around us. But, they knew back in the days in Nevada of these bombs, they absolutely 100% knew that the radiation and everything else was going to be brutal. Not just a bomb blast. And if you look at these people's arms and hands, you kind of get a picture, and their feet, and you can comprehend how bad nuclear was. But we don't need a nuclear war. And by the way, my apologies, some of these pictures are obviously going to be incredibly gruesome. That's our legacy. How do we turn our back and not learn about it and understand it? So I'm going to bring that picture up again. And there's about 15 pictures. I'll let you know when the pictures are, well, there's 7 pictures. I'll let you know when they're all done if you don't want to, you want to wait. These are gruesome pictures of the detonations, but also the radiation sickness is ongoing. So not only are they brutally, they were atomized on top of that and abandoned. These are authentic pictures, by the way. And you stripped an entire community. Now, in Chernobyl, we're off those pictures. 3 million children require permanent treatment because of Chernobyl, and many will die prematurely. But listen to what the Simon Fraser University experts, after Fukushima came out and mocked everybody for being worried about radiation. And anybody's not familiar with me, I'm Dana Durnford, the nuclearproctologist.org. And anybody that says walking in the sunshine, more radiation, eating a banana, sleeping next to somebody, or eating potatoes like I showed you, climbing a mountain, flying on a plane, it's everywhere and it's good for you, and they're educated, are actually insulting you to your face. They're calling you an idiot to your face, but you don't understand it. Because if it was like that, harmless and innocuous, why were they putting people, segregating them that were highly radiated? Right? The people behind the glass are there because of radiation. So here's Simon Fraser as we warm up to this story. And there's no way to misinterpret what I'm going to tell anybody today.
Sleeping next to your loved one every night can contribute about 20 microsieverts per year. And living next to a nuclear power station can actually contribute less than your loved one.
I'm going to play the rest of this.
When it comes to the amount of dose you...
Now, were you expecting that? If you've never heard that before, you were expecting everybody to blow up and laugh. But do you think for 1 second that he's not serious? Do you think that was a joke? Like he was trying to make a joke on purpose? He wasn't. Everybody was laughing because they're in on it. Because you don't laugh unless you understand how deceptive those statements, all of those statements, sleeping next to somebody, living near a coal plant, then he got all the other numbers that he's claiming. So a coal plant is not a nuclear plant, right? But they want to conflate that. Like the natural emitters on the planet, there's like 160 of them. They can't hurt you. They're not going to bother you. You're acclimated to it through genetic superior selection. So the stuff that is in the troposphere and stratosphere everywhere else is stuff of the it's stardust. It's the very foundation of everybody and everything. We have natural emitters, but they can't power a dirty bomb or they can't power a light bulb. If you take all the emitters for potassium out of a mountain and you got a pile that's 6 miles high and 30 miles wide of potassium, you can't power a light bulb with it. Okay? And so like a nuclear power plant, Watts Bar took 43 years. Didn't say they run it for 20 years. And now they got 50 years to dismantle it. So 43 years to get it run, 50 years to dismantle it, then they got to store it for 1 million years, whatever they created in that 20 years. And at the same time, there's 6 times more now breast cancer minimum, plus endless. It's just a disease factory. That's what a nuclear power plant is. And so every other isotope, everything is going to be there. The curium is the major byproduct of radiated fuel rods, not the iodine. The iodine has got nothing to do with a chain reaction outside of byproduct, right? Superman krypton will kill you. The xenon will kill you. These are hot particles, a lot of this. Americium, plutonium, neptunium. Everything is going to be there. If you find one, it's all there. If you live by it, it's all going to be there. You can't contain it. It can't be contained. So when you talk about the sunshine and that's how they manipulate you. The sun doesn't create anything I showed you there. Everything I showed you there is from fission. The sun creates fusion. See, we don't pick up the sunshine and put it in bags. We pick up Fukushima and we put it in bags, yeah? Still sick to my guts. And it's okay. The story is simple. It doesn't matter. I apologize for whining. I got nothing to whine about. I'm privileged to get this far. I have 6 gag orders and I'm heading back out on the ocean. There's no one here to fight for the planet while I'm gone. And if I don't go do it, then there's no one will leave ever. See, once it's done, you got an authentic study that the species are missing. We are the last people to do a species count on the British Columbia Ocean. They hide the Fukushima 50, but they're dressed the same as everybody else. So why would you hide them? To trick you, to deceive you, to get you to think, oh my God, they're so brave and heroes and blah, blah, blah. They're dressed exactly the same as the people holding a tarp. They're hiding away the heroes behind a tarp that are dressed just like them. You can't tell the difference if you wanted to. It's stupidest shit imaginable. This is everything nuclear. My video stuck there for like 8 hours yesterday at 360. Nuclear Energy Foundation founder advocates Yucca Mountain. So Yucca Mountain, you got to vent it for the first 100 years because it's so much heat. You can only put so much in there because of the heat. But if you have an accident, it'll be like WHIP, where you can never get in there again. And they'll steal billions. Now, they got $20 billion already just for scoping out Yucca Mountain. $20 billion to scope it out. I'll explain more of that coming up in a second. But think about, they abandoned the homes and their vehicles, not because of the tsunami, the earthquake, but because of millions of bags of radiation that they were going to pick up in the near future. Shows why they had to abandon it, because everything was radiated. You can't go back. It's not like you got a dirty car and you washed it all off, right? Because you wouldn't put it in bags, would you? So let's bring this up on the full screen. It's just, I have to come out and try to get this planet to fight for its life, to fight for its very existence. And that's just the way it goes sometimes. You're not very focused here, Dana. Get your act together. Tough world we live in. So I got enough information here, no matter who you are. If this is the only video you ever watch, I gotta try to fix that. Sorry. Just, you gotta watch what you're doing when you're color grading. You can screw things up at the same time. Too much saturation. Because I got a sunburn because I'm out there working constantly on the equipment in the boat. Now, the economy would beneficial from a rural community if a central location was established. This is their argument for Yucca Mountain, where they spent $20 billion already just looking at it. And it's going to bring a few jobs to the community, so we should go ahead and do it. Yeah, but what about the other $20 billion that you just stole? Yeah, but it's going to bring a few jobs, Dina. Well, you got to stir shit up for Dana. Well, because you abandon your grocery shops and your communities, yeah? Buddy? Because of the state of Nevada's opposition, the Las Vegas Review-Journal, there's a good one. Anything in Las Vegas, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm going to trust something in Las Vegas, all right? In a February 14th story, except for the employees, and that taxpayers have spent more than, I trust them, $15 billion in legal costs for the state to oppose. $15 billion in legal costs. And so once you made it that confusing, then they're looking for another 50. So $20 billion by 2020. For the state to oppose Yucca Mountain as a repository site. Yeah, because that's the end of Las Vegas. But it was just a way of sucking money out of everybody. They stole $20 billion from everybody through legal fees. It takes 43 years to build a power plant. You got the IAEA telling Japan they want 18. They only got 4 reactors running, but now they want to start up 18 MOX reactors, of all things. So this is posturing. A UN LV study revealed the impact of the Yucca Mountain. We're nowhere near the good stuff per se, the flashy stuff, but headline, picture, headline, picture, headline. It tells the story too. They would add $228 million to the state's economy during construction, and 127 million annually during its operation. But they already spent 20 million from one other place, just in legal, 20 billion, and just in legal fees fighting it, right? And you got these abandoned communities. Sweeping up radiation is not going to, you can't sweep up, you got to sweep up every leaf as it comes off the tree, every pollen as it comes out of the plant. You can't drink the water or eat any food there. But at 127 million annually, 20 billion, divide that, right? 20 billion by 127 million a year. That's 157 years of already operating costs burnt on legal fees. Right? Do you get how crazy these people actually truly are? We abandon the communities permanently. We make work projects by sending people in to sweep it up so we can move people back in that it won't come because only 10% are foolish enough to go back. You abandon all your cars and your shops and your supermarkets and your banks and your restaurants and your hospitals and your video rental stores. You have nuclear plants around the country overloaded with spent fuel from the original licensing application that ran for the past 30 or 40 years. Yeah, and if you have an accident, you got to abandon every shop and everything else, right? You get how that works? He touted the safety of the nuclear plants, which is just, what are you talking about? There's 6 times more breast cancer around all nuclear power plants. I'm going to show you so much documentation to show you to burn these headlines away forever and any other bizarre chicken act that shows up with these connotations. It's media won't hold these people accountable. Keep printing this nonsense. And then people still read the media that's saying go back to that media and support them. And so they'll keep throwing out these bullshit articles to confuse and divide everybody. But let me finish that out. So here you go. He touted the safety plan, citing a World Health Organization. And just the same people as UNSCLEAR, the same people on IRPA, they're the same people at the IAEA, they're the same people, that are the go-to people for all governments worldwide, are all on the same panels, and they're all telling you the same fables. Oh, there's 1.5 million died, 1.9 million from coal-related pollution. Now, you need a coal plant to run a power plant. You need an oil plant or fuel, some kind of other plant, major one, to run a nuclear power plant, because some of these places are 500 square miles. It's like, they need their own power plant just for the power plant, and there are other independent sources. They can't run off their own electricity. But why would you put a coal plant in your community for? Because you know this is going to happen after 20 or 30 years if they stay there. But if they move away, they'll be okay. If you get infected from nuclear is the same as Ebola. You get infected and then it shows up later. It could be a decade or 2 or 3, but it's going to show up because it sequesters in your muscles, your organs, and your bones. And your body's attacking it with white blood cells, displacing your red blood cells carrying nutrition and oxygen. And so 20, 30 years of white blood cells trying to build a tumor. That's why you're fatigued. That's why you have so many health problems. Yeah, they bring jobs to the community, nuclear does. Look, this guy got a permanent job. He shouldn't pass it on to his kids because he shouldn't have kids because he's dear. And the kid's going to grow up with incredible illnesses and autoimmune deficiencies and injuries if he makes it out without serious damage originally. There's lots of malformations and deformities throughout Japan now. Lots of birth defects, extra arms, legs, and not reported. So you abandon community, leave lights on it in an attempt that one day you can move them back. The Director General of the World Nuclear Association has issued a call to action to governments, expert bodies, the nuclear industry itself, to step up its drive to ensure nuclear power makes a fuel contribution to the battle of climate change. So these couple of headlines we're going to get through when we get into the big stuff. I want you to remember these things like climate change. So for climate change, nuclear power plants contribute, do they? So when you evacuate entire community after community after community after community, and you should have evacuated 14 prefectures because they're also radiated. How does that scale up, I wonder? So in other words, nuclear has one accident. You don't need a nuclear war. You just need a nuclear power plants to go down. This is McDonald's abandoned, by the way. The world is not on track to provide reliable, affordable electricity to our global population while meeting our environmental targets. Every time you hear these words, you got to shit yourself scared. Access to electricity remains out of reach to hundreds of millions of people. So only nuclear can fill the gap. Only nuclear can fill the gap, Dina. And you abandon everything when you have an accident that mitigates any economical benefit you could have dreamed of. But how does Watts Bar, right? Think about Watts Bar, 43 years. So if you started, when you started building Watts Bar and you were 24, 25 years old, in 43 years, you're retiring with a pension, and Watts Bar is still not up and running. You spend your whole life working on one building. Because it's clean green, too cheap to friggin' meter for 20 years, Dana. Yeah, but keep those thoughts in mind, because that's not true, obviously. The world's not on track. No, because nuclear is the stupidest thing imaginable. When you got to abandon beautiful, perfect homes and streets and sidewalks and the infrastructure, the material inside, your graveyards, like really. She noted that at the Paris Climate Change Conference nearly 2 years ago, government pledged to keep the rise in global temperature below 2 degrees. Government's going to keep the temperature below, okay. See, climate scientists are the biggest betrayal for us, because they advocate nuclear power as a solution, which is ludicrous. Nuclear is climate change. Nuclear is the very reason we're going to lose the planet. Just from all the weapons testing. If we had stopped at weapons testing in the 90s and just abandoned nuclear and found a way to deal with it, because we had released so much into the environment, we were going to kill the planet at some point anyway. It doesn't disappear in 30 years, right? And anybody that believes these lies, and the ones that propagate them, will have to answer to this planet soon, because you can't hide the death of the Pacific Ocean. You just can't hide the death of the Pacific Ocean. So you abandon everything because it's clean, green, too cheap to meter when you have an accident. It's a proven source of reliable, cost-effective, and clean power with significant public benefit. Well, ask the people that own at that shop and used to shop there what kind of benefit they're talking about. Ask the people that lived in this community and abandoned it, come back to see the graveyards, how they feel about your theory, dummy. Rising said the nuclear industry has set a goal to supply 25% of the world's electricity by 2050. They set a goal, eh? They haven't even went down and rescued all the abandoned animals. There's animals left tied on the fence posts. Animals left trapped in homes and starved to death. Animals in farms were left in their pen. Everybody ran away and left everything. Nuclear needs to do more. It needs to kill itself. It needs to jump off a cliff, because we're going to throw it off a cliff till we get a chance. Adding that it will require reform of energy markets, regulations, our perceptions of safety to make it possible. Our perceptions of safety. Because this is a new mantra. Now what they're trying to do is always conflate nuclear with green, like we need it all. We need solar and wind and thermal, and we need. They don't mention putting your windmills on the mountains where the wind blows 24 hours a day. They put it in your community where you fucking hate it and don't want to see it ever again. They put it in a place where there's no wind and it can't only work a few hours when the wind is blowing. And then they look at that and say, see, it didn't work. Put it on a mountain where the wind blows all the time. It blows all the time. Produces power all the time. 360 of them is enough to replace a nuclear power plant permanently. And you don't have to worry about it. One goes down, the other 359 are still running. Not going to take down the grid ever. If it's on a mountain, the wind blows day, night, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Or we can build a nuclear sub to go under the Antarctic and come through the ice, but we can't build a windmill to put on a hill. As ludicrous assertions, okay? But even our upper scenario would not be enough to meet the climate goal, your climate goal. What about here, people who owned that shop and now live on pittance a day so you can pretend you're somebody special to some idiot media hoax personalities? How can you justify that? See? Clean energy must be included all low carbon technologies. How is this low carbon when you run away and leave your Plinko machines behind? You stupid cow. As the only zero emission generating resource that can be scaled to meet actual demand. No, nuclear is not about a cancer machine around it. It's not about an Alzheimer's machine within 50 miles of it. It's dementia, autism, heart, liver, lung, respiratory, pituitary, adrenaline. I'll show you some of that coming up. See, compensation for contribution to a system's reliability, other public benefits. What are you talking about? You evacuate your gas stations, your grocery shops, but you're going to claim that as clean, green, too cheap to meter, even 74 years later, still lying. The same law, you go back to everything you just seen at time, these laws are the same laws for 74 years. The same bullshit artists and their inbreeds for 74 years. 43 years ago, watch Bar up running. 43 years, over budget endlessly. No way to deal with it once you shut it down. Put ratepayers on hooks for failed nuclear. This is the last headline, I think. Let me check. Then we get into hardcore coming up. Good morning, everybody. And I apologize for everybody that I can't keep up with everything. If I take a day off, we can't keep up with it. If we take a day off, there's no one to hold me accountable. And I'm heading out on the ocean, so there's going to be, once again, nobody to hold accountable. I'll be character assassinated the entire time when I'm gone. I'll come back and have to rebuild everything again. And that's just the way life is supposed to be, I guess, for people like me. There's to be no... I don't understand what else I could do, but I do. It's just, can it get done? Can I go out and do the whole coastline one more time? See, I've been saying since I've done it, that I'm still traumatized from it. And just the very minute that I'm able to I'm actually able to have a day without being traumatized, I rebuild a whole operation in increments and I'm ready to go again. It defies any kind of logic in any other scenario. In any other scenario, that's not conceivable. This is only conceivable because of nuclear. You don't abandon your communities for any other reason, by the way. You don't abandon that for no other reason only because of nuclear. You just run away. You don't even grab a pack of smokes. You just run away. Right now, I quit smoking January the 1st. I'm still smoke-free. And you still have urges all this time later, but that's okay. So the Baseload Review Act of 2007 requires the Public Service Commission to approve a rate increase if a utility can justify its capital costs associated with an abandoned project. As a result, ratepayers could see their electric bills rise. So 2007, they enacted a bill that if they can't build a nuclear power plant, the corporations can get money you gave them and that they weren't trying to do it back. Money they're not entitled to because they didn't finish the job. So if you get a carpenter to build your house, you're going to build your house, do the garden, do everything. And all he does is frame it up, and then he says, sorry, I partied too much, ran out of money. You call the cops. Well, these guys got a law to protect them, so they just do it. This is why Watts Bar took 43 years, because these people are just, they are the lowest forms of life. They do it because you know you can never get rid of them. And although Duke Energy has not yet sought a rate hike, it can. Allowing utilities to recover costs has always been the norm, says Travis, right? Professor at the university, nuclear professor at the university, so has always been the norm. Allowing utilities, well, no, not companies, but utilities. Despicable. So Mark Sanford did not sign a bill warning that it did not provide enough protection for ratepayers, but the bill became law anyway. There's no protection for ratepayers. They pick that up, put it in bags. They don't bring it over somewhere else. They tell you to move back in. Savages. I remember cautioning senators about Duke pulling the plug. Peeler said, referring to the Duke cancellation of a previous project decades earlier. So Duke has done this before for billions of dollars profit. Meanwhile, I got to suffer. I raised a couple of $100 in the last week and a half. Nothing in the last number of days. And that scares me, but that's life. At some point, enough will come in for me to be able to head north with. We got the equipment will be coming this week. Most of it should be here this week, early next week. And then by the first week of October, we'll pack everything up and head out. And then hopefully I'm back by the spring or summer. And then it's going to take a month to upload the documentation of the coastline for me. I promise not to be burnt out when I come ashore this time. Not looking forward to any of it. I'm horrified at the thought of it. But I also know, because I've done it now 5 times in a row in a 260-day period, 15,000 miles, that to go up prepared like I am this time with everything already good to go. And I can tow the boat into the community. Now everybody can Google me. And when you get to my nuclear proctologist, the pictures are color corrected. The pictures of the reactors are there. I go into these communities with the big camera, the operation, set up shop. It's going to be totally different than pulling off to a wharf on a boat, right? And they don't see you, don't see the name of the boat, they don't know who you are walking down the street. Now you park it right in front of their shop, and you try to rent a place for $100 or $200 to give a lecture before you leave. And 10, 20 people show up. But the point is, you show up everywhere. Even if they don't show up, they end up going to your site. And so we are going to take over this time. We're going to do it right. Because we don't need to abandon places anymore. You know what I mean? Brown said he opposed the measures because he didn't think ratepayers should be forced to pay for incomplete or abandoned nuclear projects. No, there's a law there that says you don't. If you pay someone to do a job, they don't do it, and then they take your money and refuse to finish the job, you can charge them. You can sue them. Brown said he opposes the measure. Brown said he believes the act should be repealed. Ask the people who own this shop here what they think of that. Now, Frank Knapp's of the South Carolina Small Business Chamber of Commerce says the Baseload Review Act basically created a blank check for utilities by putting ratepayers on the hook for failed projects. So they don't know the way these things going. You know how you get a bum car, you go out and you burn it and crash it or have somebody steal it and get your money back because the company won't take the car back. So lots of scams like that, right? This is what they're done. And so it'll never end. Unless you repeal it, it never ends. And not only that, they get away with it. So Google went in there to these abandoned communities. And so there was a lot of earthquake damages, by the way, in these communities, but they abandoned them right away. Radiation fallout. Nobody bothered uploading videos to YouTube because you couldn't even get gas, right? It was total pandemonium. And there was videos uploaded, but there was no big... So Google's in there getting the footage coming out, which is interesting. The USC professor agreed the lawmakers' support for the bill made sense. I think this was the way to go to reduce costs in the long run. Looking ahead, he said, electricity travels across state lines. The federal government could step in and reboot the abandoned projects. And the federal government, of course, is the public relation firms for the nuclear industry. That's all our government is. Everything's about nuclear. We take all our children and friends and families to the hospital when they get cancer, tumors, or leukemias, and they go there and they give them man-made radiation, and only 3% survive. And I'll show you that documentation coming up in a little tiny bit. So you abandon all your grocery shops in your communities, and the weather takes over because of radiation. Your graveyards, your hospitals. They even abandoned the elderly and left them to die, wander. Alzheimer's, there's 90 Alzheimer's were left to wander around and die in adverse conditions. Schools of, I'm not kidding you, schools of radiation emergency management held in IAEA Capitol Building Center. Just showed up 2 days ago or a day ago. Look at these chicken necks, look. The chicken necks. They went to Fukushima to go to an IAEA meeting, allegedly. They're probably somewhere else. They shot it and then put it up there. It's highly suspect. So you abandon your communities. And then the IAEA comes in and sets up shop. Effective emergency response begins with preparedness. And preparedness requires regular comprehensive training. So they host a 3-week course. There you go. Just another way to suck money out of the system and get more people that are bootlickers out there and something to talk about. 19 emergency preparedness and response professionals from 13 countries. None of them went to the supermarket, though, did they? Yeah? None of them went to the supermarket and got themselves some Listerine mouthwash. I can assure you. The 28 August, 15 September, school held for the first time in the IAEA Response and Assistance Network. These are the most bizarre people imaginable. Anybody with the IAEA moniker, official moniker, has incredible accolades, incredible degrees, incredible money behind them and institutions. And I have fuck all. Nothing. Just random people help me and donate to me. And it's so sporadic and so random that, I'm heading up with no money. I got the equipment, I got that far. So I'm going to head up with nothing. No money to get back, no money to get to finish the job, no money to head out onto the outside islands right away, because I know how difficult it is and how much equipment. I need a drone still. I need a gimbal, right, for the big camera to get clean, beautiful shots for the documentaries. I need so much basic stuff. I got it, but I can't get the big stuff because I got to have all the basic stuff. I probably can get it, but I won't have no money to travel with. If we don't do it, it'll never get done. And so there's no one going to come and fund me. No one's going to throw $50,000 or $100,000 so I can go get a big boat and do it right and be safe. I got to go fucking tiptoe through the crazy world again. Fukushima Prefecture Authority contributed to the school by sharing their experience from the accident at Fukushima Daiichi. Wow, what are you talking about? Fukushima Prefecture's authorities that are not going to go here. Yeah? I'm going to tell you it's like a banana potato chip water in the sunshine getting on an airplane. They're not going to go there, are they? Because if you're going there, all them spider webs wouldn't be there, by the way, would they? No. School helps participating countries develop their radiation emergency preparedness. So far, we trained 150 participants, 62 countries and 6 schools, and more will be trained at school to be held later this year in Austria and the Republic of Korea. So the demented industry. Well, you're going to go down to the car lot now and pick out a car for everybody while they're there? You can. Not too hard. Low public confidence, one of the major nuclear challenges. Low public confidence is one of the nuclear's major challenges, really. How about abandoned Porsches and abandoned little teenage girl panty machines and abandoned cigarette machines and vending machines? Yeah, they sell girls' panties used in vending machines in Japan. Christy, go get yourself some. They abandon everything. These vending machines, there's power there. Like, the windows is open in the top floor up there. They just run. It's nuclear. Run, dude. Just run. It's a nuclear low confidence conundrum. 6 views. It's like, why even bother shoot it and put it on the internet? You're going to get 6 views. Why would you do that? Well, because that's part of getting paid. You got to do it to get paid. So the people down at the IAEA or at that meeting, are they going to run and get themselves some free sake, some free whiskey? Would you? I wouldn't. Nuclear low confidence. Low confidence. Go ask the people how much confidence they got in you or in the nuclear. Why would you do this again? How could you be that gullible, that naive, Paul? Well, easy. Look at the glasses you got. Hey, Paul, why don't you go down and take one of these for a ride, baby? They're all good to go. 392, finally booted. Like 7 hours later, 8 hours later, from 362 or something to 392. Really? Really? So you run away and leave your schools and your businesses and your communities behind, all your equipment, because it's not like a banana, right? You can admit it just this once, no one's looking. You can say, yeah, Dana, you're right, it's not like a banana. Thank you. Forgive me that. Nuclear, the energy alternative for Australia, none dare name. None dare name. I'm burping as I'm talking. I'm making a video today because it's a plea to the planet. I've been in this for a couple of weeks, I think. I'm wrestling with, is there any of the planet left that is familiar what it's supposed to be? When I go outdoors now, it's like a fairy tale where everybody's definitely living one. See, they want nuclear in Australia, nuclear power plant. Power plant. They have legislation that says they can't have a power plant, but there's 30% of the uranium production on the planet. So they had 300 citizens jury. This was quite the gag. They tried to get 300 indoctrinated people and gave them all the indoctrination machine. Now, if they only stuck with the people they gave them, you would have ended up with nuclear dumps in Australia, but they didn't. They went out on the internet and found people like me, most likely. And then they told each other, hey, wait a second, there's 10 times more 132, 30 times more 133, 31 times more 29, wherever the 131 in iodines is to. And say, right here, everything is highly radiated. Otherwise, the mob would have went and stole everything, right? You know what I mean? Somebody would have went and stole everything, trust me. But you're not supposed to be there. A lot has happened in a decade. Set out a mission to promote nuclear power as a sensible, clean energy option. Since Ziggy Silwaski, he's not even from Australia, is he? So Ziggy should go down here and hang out, and tell everybody how safe that is. Oh, it's so clean and green. Very good, clean, very green. Oh, yeah. Very clean, very green. For supporters, nuclear has always been a dependable zero-emission option, but it is still too hot politically to handle. Too hot. Get the pun? A hot particle. For supporters, for pro-nuke, who don't give a fuck about that, has always been a dependable zero-emission option. How is this zero-emission again? Anybody want to fucking explain that one to me? How do you call all of that zero-emission? If it's zero-emission, how come you're not down there getting your hands on that good old-fashioned... The Mineral Council of Australia says nuclear energy is a readily deployable zero-emission baseload energy that should not be excluded from Australia's energy mix. Australia doesn't want to fucking run away and leave their big superstores behind. Your liquor stores behind. And there's no one there drinking the liquor. So if you were an alcoholic and you got cancer, here's the spot to head off to, trust me. Enjoy your fucking final days. I'm the king of Fukushima. Yeah. To be considered, however, changes need to be made to the Environmental Protection Biodiversity Conservation Act, which, the Biodiversity, Environmental Protection, and Conservation Acts are there because nuclear is not like a banana, which is what they're claiming, isn't it, right? You don't run away and leave your animals, your homes behind for something to do. The pigs have already taken over Australia. We're looking at them. And as things stand, neither major party seems prepared to push the nuclear button. Like the language is over the top. They sound like some kindergarten who learned about nuclear, couldn't sleep for a week, and then wrote an article. Japan proposes a renewable future, but has since retired most of its remaining nuclear fleet. What the fuck are you talking about? They got 4 out of 54 restarted. So the people in Australia are not going to go check. They're just going to read the article. Oh, geez, that's pretty darn good. They got it all up and running. They got the kinks out of it. Yeah, well, go ask that ostrich how cool it is to have a ghost town. He's like, this is cool shit, dude. The fuck? So many pretty colors. The official view of the World Nuclear Association is that there was no deaths or cases, radiation sickness for the Fukushima accident. Yeah, and you abandoned everything, left your cows and your Sony and you want a Sony phone, go down there. Reflecting on the events, Switkowski tells Inquirer, nice name, the Australian Inquirer, that community confidence was shattered by Fukushima. No, it wasn't shattered. It was blown away. Coca-Cola should sue TEPCO to get their money back because they can't go retrieve their machine. So how can you call something like this clean green too cheap to meter? That does something like this. 30 million one-ton bags is just a tiny fraction of a 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 fraction. Finland's TVO challenges approval of Riva bailout. Riva is the big nuclear industry on the planet. But once again, Riva bailed out because everybody else had to bail out too. Paladin crashed, which is Australia. They broke the country, bankrupted the country already. France going to close a third. Westinghouse is going to close and kill everything else, and they did. Where did it go wrong with Areva? Paladin's market share was $4 billion. When, by the time they closed the doors, we're at $80 million. They liquidated their assets before they announced they were going under. But they wanted $300 million more before they went. They liquidated $4 billion, sat there with operating of $80 million. So Raymond Gilman, he done 94 studies, but 144 beagle dogs, he gave them a single monodispersal inhalation, and all the dogs died within 5 years from different tumors, lung, liver, and bone tumors. Bone tumors found in 93 dogs were the most common cause of death. And so it's really easy to understand. Think about what why Oppenheimer had made that statement.
He knew the world would not be the same. Few people laughed. Few people cried. Most people were silent. I remembered the line from the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita. Vishnu is trying to persuade the prince that he should do his duty, and to impress him takes on his multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." I suppose we all thought that one way or another.
Yeah. And so, was there any quick questions before we move into the next part of this? Anybody? Elaine's not feeling good today. And Kevin Blanche is here. Hi, Kevin. Apple just bailed out Westinghouse and Toshiba yesterday, Kevin is saying. Hi, be strong. Walter, Lisa. Truth. Yeah, Oppenheimer's voice is so evil. And how is everybody? I'm sorry I took up your Saturday. Hi, Elaine. Elaine was moderating first when Elaine wasn't feeling good. She was awesome. We're so thankful that she found the time and had the energy to do that for everybody. Hi, Romy. I've been here. Stan. Hi, everyone. Now, I know, yeah, I'm working on a Saturday. I don't stop. Peter, I used to battle the insects with pesticide. Yeah, that's a good point, eh? Hi, Nolan. Censor. Hi, everybody. And Kevin doesn't stop. Anybody's not familiar with Kevin Blanche, please go look Kevin up. Please go check out his sites, his YouTube site. You can link over. If you want to do radio interviews, please contact Kevin and get him on your radio show. Hi, Renee. And keep an eye on Kevin when he's doing projects. Please help Kevin. Hi, Thomas. I'm going to be gone soon. And then Kevin is good. Like, he's going to keep on top of it. Kevin's like me. He's a wild man. I'm like Kevin, I should say. Kevin's a wild man. I'm trying to be wild. We come from two different eras, unfortunately. We make good allies, though. Hi, Watchman. Good. Hello, everybody. Hi, Wonder Cat. Everybody out there I won't get to and don't get to and can't get to. Liz, River. Hi, everybody. Just scanning. Trying to say as high as much as I can, because this will disappear when the stream is over. I won't get a chance to read through it, but I can come back now and read through it. Dean is so smart. And it's just, thank you, Debbie. I'm good, Lisa, thank you. I'm excited about my cold trip. We got a good diesel stove on the Zodiac. We'll be good. I got all winter gear ready to go now. It's going to be, I just want to get it done and get on with my life, and everybody else can get on with their life, so to speak. We got to get this done. It has to be done. Hi, Keith. Yeah, you're welcome, Keith. No worries. That's me, right? I'm going. I don't know how to switch it off at this stage. Hi, Kevin. Yeah, we have to be. Yeah, absolutely, Kevin. And hi to everybody. Spend a moment with everybody, a few moments. Hi, Darren. And you're in Springfield. Hi. Thank you, Debbie. Debbie's something awesome. You ever heard Debbie piano? She must have some music up on her site. And Deb and Elaine and so many people here I can talk about all day. I'm just looking to see, thank you, Nolan. I'm just looking to see if there was any questions I could have picked up. But my eyesight is not that good this morning. I'm excited that spring will come and this will be over. And that I won't have to do it ever again. And that I guess it's closure is what we're talking about. Just being closure for everybody when I go out. But it's how you complete the study. You have to do it again to verify it. I got it raised all together, the ferry up, the ferry across, the fuel, food for several months. You're gonna burn. If it takes me, the longer it takes me, the more it costs, right? And so 30,000 by spring, I would bet. If it takes that long, it's going to be an extensive thing. If I'm able to go right up and come right back, I could do it 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 maybe. If I got the money, because I got almost all the gear. That's after I get the gear, of course. I'm saying 20,000 because I need, the gimbal is 14, 15, 1,600. I still got to figure out how to use it, calibrate it, all the other stuff. Who cares? I'll do it. But the gimbal is the big one, and what was the other big one? There's one more big one that I gotta get. I mean, who knows? But see, we're in really good shape now. We bought most of the heavy stuff. I ordered it this week, paid for, verified. It'll be here next week. And yesterday I had to get another. I had to order a tripod in. I had to order in 2 extra things yesterday. Oh yeah, I had to order in a stand for the. What the hell was it? I can't remember. Who cares? But we basically got both mounts for the motors, the 2 motors for the little Zodiac. We got the Zodiac ordered and paid for. We got the cabin for the Zodiac ordered and paid for. Everything we got. Jeez, I can't remember. I still need to burn another 3,000, 4,000 on equipment, but I don't need it. I can do without it if I got to. It's not right, but I will. I mean, ideally, right, I can have it. I don't care. I need enough money to get up on the ferries for over to the Charlottes. Due to Charlottes is going to be $1,000 of fuel and $1,000 over and back. And fuel says 2,000 there. Alaska will be easy. The border, top part of Canada. I'll do Metlakatla and the other communities, Prince Rupert, blah, blah, blah. Because I have the vehicle, right? Then jump on the ferry down to Clem 2, do that section for a week, jump on the ferry down to Bella Bella, get off the ferry with all the equipment, hit the communities, try to do lectures. This is the time. This is that one go I'm having at it, and I'm not coming back till it's done. And then if I got to sell off pieces of equipment along the way to finish it out, that's what I'll be doing, right? If I got to sell off everything to get the job done, I'm supposed to do that. That's how, I'm supposed to do whatever it takes and finish it out. And I understand that now, and I just don't want to, right? I don't want to go. If I have an accident, I lose everything. It's all gone. And so I got to be so careful because I got to come back with the data. So I can't have an accident. I can't make a mistake. I can't smurf up. I can't take any chances. I got to play it safe the entire time. There's a lot at stake. The whole planet needs the documentation. They need that verification of this extinction event, period. And so it's not going to be as intense as the first time. Now we know. Now we know what we're supposed to do. We just got to document it, but in super high quality, right? Now the rest of this, I'm just going to burn through it. Tells the story of nuclear, and just in bits and globs over the last 3 or 4 weeks, excluding the hurricane coverage, the supercell storms we done, because they're from the Fukushima meltdowns, why we had Hurricane Harvey, Hurricane Irma. By the way, we got confirmation of Barusa Island was hit 252 miles per hour. 252 miles per hour winds. Now, that could be gusts, but that's fine, whatever. But that's not something we know about, okay? That's not something we've seen before. That's not something we're familiar with. That's something we've been warning everybody about for the last several years. But this is new to the Atlantic. But for the last couple of years, we've seen it in the Pacific, yeah? In Tonga, in Fiji, in the Philippines, in China, in Taiwan, in Mexico last year for just a short 24-hour storm when went 200 miles per hour, rode out the coastline and just ripped a small section apart, and then it went out to sea and died again in the Gulf. These supercell storms, we've never seen them in our recorded history or geological deposits on the coastline. There's no indication of these supercell storms throughout our known history. And just there's bad news. I'm sorry if I don't find it. I'll just come back and make sure. Yeah, I got some incredible music on my site, Lisa. I know. Thank you. You're right. I meant to say. I know my site. Of course I do. Lisa's my site. There's a friggin' weird answer. My apologies. Yeah, Kevin. Kevin walked the whole coast of California, folks. It's up at his website. Put in seals and sea lions at Kevin's YouTube channel. Just, man, Jesus. That stuff scared the shit out of me. I didn't find that on my coast, did I, Kevin? We didn't see that anywhere. And, yeah, that's what Nee was asking. I know. Who knows, right? If generally, 7, 8, 9,000, I should be able to do the coast because I can do it in the little Zodiac because I got the cabin on it. And I'm not going to put myself in harm's way at all. Last time it was desperation. This time is more about being very careful, getting into communities, being a bit of a spectacle. Yeah, my eyesight is getting bad too, Debbie. Sensor. Yeah. There's something interesting over here treating antibiotics for these small sores you get on your face. Now, I've ran into quite a few people who told me about this phenomenon of people who said they were out on a boat and their faces become stinging and then they had sores on their faces, not sores, but open spots, lesions on their faces for the last 6 years. I've had a number of people tell me that. Kevin's planning to go back to the coastline at some point, redocument it, because he's got to do the same thing as me, redocument it. And I'm just looking for any question that I might have got. I probably won't see it. Hi, everybody. Thank you, Lisa. Sensor, Emthers, and Elaine, of course. And everybody for finding the energy and the time and the will to persevere. And people like Kevin, look at what Kevin's been through, for goodness sakes. He's been barbarized. The industry has literally barbarized Kevin Blanche. And Kevin is not some naive or gullible person. Go listen to Kevin's radio interviews where people try to fool him or trick him with difficult questions or just ask him difficult questions. And he has no problem technically handling whatever you fucking want to walk him down with. He's going to walk you back down with the right answer every time. Kevin Blanche is not some fucking just random person. He's extremely articulating. I can assure you. And he's got a hot, passionate soul like me. I swear more than Kevin. Kevin swears, but when I can go. Oh, I shouldn't. I don't know. It's her call. It's kind of a coin flipper. Me and Kevin both can rock her pretty good sometimes. Switzerland votes to phase out nuclear energy, switch to renewables. This was May. So the nuclear Ebola demons would have been out there harassing Switzerland nonstop, trying to get them to war, bring in a whole bunch of issues that drive them crazy. Overturn the ban on nuclear, the energy of the future. So what they want to do was, and we're just going to touch on any of this, nuclear and coal lobbies threaten to scupper renewables in South Africa. You can see the industry is vicious, eh? Overturn the ban. So a handful of mining companies can have a market and kill their country. So all you got to do is kill the country. Hoax researcher claims explosion witnessed at the Fukushima reactor. Irresponsible rumors disguise the real danger unit for meltdown. Conspiracy websites are buzzing with claims that the spent fuel pools at the Fukushima reactor have exploded. The story appears almost certainly to be a hoax. Don't forget that one when I show you pictures coming up. So they showed you that picture and said that's what it was like. It didn't look like that behind me, but that's exactly. These are both the official pictures. More of that coming up. Right, here's a guy faking inside of that building.
So this is really why we've been brought here. Where
BBC.
I'm standing is on top of what used to be reactor building number 4. The whole of this building was blown apart by a huge
You're
explosion
blown apart by
after
that
the tsunami
headline.
disaster. But down inside this pool behind me...
See, so hoax says it's blown apart, now he's the hoax, right?
The fact that the reactor in Japan is 100 times more powerful than the one in Chernobyl, and
100 times more powerful. Now, the same guy who's talking, Alexei, he's out there in other videos saying Chernobyl's worse. The same guy here in another video recently is saying Chernobyl's worse. So he was there getting street creds.
the fact that the reactor in Japan is 100 times more powerful than the one in Chernobyl, and
Yeah, slick. So the tsunami was 670 miles of the coastline, went through a meat grinder. The power plants are in the same position, 15 of them. They all went in station blackout. Most feared words. It's like someone banging on your door in the middle of the night and yelling your house is on fire. You know? Gut-wrenching news, you know? This is Unit 1. We're going to cover lots more than this, but Unit 2, Unit 3, totally destroyed. And of course, Unit 4, set dormant, pretending it's inside of a building that don't exist. So every facet of nuclear, they like to stab you in the back. So how do you... This is the official construction of Unit 4, reconstruction. They were going to put a crane in here to reach down and try to pick up pieces that were left. But here's the official, what it looks like inside of it after. Now, of course, this is ludicrous assertions. Government, by the way, is going to raise the maximum radiation exposure ahead of the restart of any nuclear reactors. So they're ludicrous assertions. Ernie Gunnarsson?
Now, the division I ran built nuclear fuel racks for boiling water reactors exactly like Fukushima.
So now, if he
I
don't
built-
know...
The division I ran
he built the pool
nuclear fuel racks
stuff
for
up
boiling
there.
water reactors exactly like Fukushima.
And he knows they're missing.
And Unit 4 has always been my biggest concern.
Yeah?
If you
You wrote
watched
a
our
book,
website,
right?
on the very first week of the accident, I was saying that if Unit 4 were to catch fire, you'd have to evacuate Tokyo.
So do you think Unit 4 caught fire? Or is that just me being drama queen? Yeah? Dana drama queen? Yeah? It's not caught fire. Dana looks like that over there on the inside. Dana? Yeah, it's got some cosmetic damage.
As a matter of fact, the book that we wrote
Unit
talks
4.
about that a lot. It's really important. And it
See his
remains
picture.
the biggest concern that I have about the Fukushima site.
Yeah, but he's not so concerned. He wrote a book saying that that was okay. Then he came out and said, no, they got the fuel out of the pool. So he's the number one activist. What's he doing to everybody? You help him by donating to him. He stabs you in the back as you're helping him, yeah? You're tying his shoes for him. Literally, you're buying his shoes. Because Ernie is not trying to tell you the truth, or he'd be out saying it's all gone. Because the fuel pools are up at the top of the building. The building is gone. Not only that, he put his wife in jeopardy by doing it too. Right? He dragged his wife into this. His wife owns the company. Right? He got Maggie, he's dragged into it. So Maggie's a demon too. Thanks, Ernie. Nice job, buddy. Nice legacy for your wife. Fukushima plant readies the delicate fuel removal. See, physics.org can't look at the picture either and say, wait a second. Not only can the guy who made the assemblies for the pool not tell the difference, but corporations like RT. Japan begins removal of the fuel rods. He even brought a video with that when he went down there and walked around with a video. You had World Nuclear News coming out showing you a beautiful building inside of a destroyed building. The radiation level is so high that it prevented helicopters from dumping water on the spent fuels because it actually doesn't look like that. So when the best activists, like people like Helen Caldicott, come out and tell
Building
you...
4 is also similarly fragile, and it's got a huge cooling pool on top with all its fuel rods, but they have been removing them. And it's been a very delicate procedure, and they've removed almost all. So if that collapsed now, I think it would probably be okay.
So you can see the building, the depiction where the fuel pool is, and the building alongside of it. That's reactor 4 she was talking about. So think about atmospheric science. Do you believe in atmospheric science? Do you believe in trans-Pacific air pollution? Now, trans-Pacific air pollution is much bigger than anything from Fukushima, the isotopes. You can put 2 million atoms in the head of a needle. It takes one to give you cancer in 10, 20, 30 years. But you can put 2 million atoms in the head of a needle, but you can't see it. The potential 2 million cancers distributed out equally to 2 million people over, if you wait 30 years, that's 2 million cancers, illnesses, autoimmune deficiencies, injuries. Like Alzheimer's and dementia and autism, diabetes, 6 times more breast cancer around the power plants. That ain't going to change any because it went across the ocean, came here. But, so trans-Pacific air pollution is probably real. You think it's real? Well, here's another major activist.
Having said all this stuff, I know it sounds a bit waffly.
He doesn't think it's real.
I would like to wait and see somebody actually measure the gamma radiation spectrum of whatever it is that's supposed to be coming in and causing the irradiation of America, because it's very hard to imagine how there could be a 5-fold increase in natural background radiation from the sort of material that's coming from Fukushima. It's just too far away.
But having said that, you sound like an idiot.
Computer simulation shows
Here's Japan.
how radioactivity is spread around the world from the disabled Fukushima.
Japan's got a model of how the radiation is spread around the world through its reactors.
Daiichi plant. The simulation was created by a group of researchers at the University of Tokyo and Kyushu University and released on Wednesday. The simulation is based on the scenario in which contaminated air was vented from the disabled number 2 reactor building on March 14th, 3 days after the massive earthquake and tsunami. Computer images showed the radioactive material was lifted 5,000 meters into the air. It was then carried by westerly winds and spread over the Pacific Ocean.
So do you think this building, they vented from that? You think somebody went out there an extension cord, plugged in power? Yeah? Somebody went in there, plugged in a big fan, Dana, and vented it. Okay.
I mean, I had the same problem with somebody in Brazil who was finding enormously high levels of radioactivity in the water, and he was assuming it was coming on the jet stream from Fukushima, which is impossible because it's just too far.
Just too far. Makes you sound bad for thinking about it, right? It's too far. He's talking to a child that doesn't know any better.
And it turned out the thing had a half-life. You know, he got some tissues and measured the half-life, put it in a plastic bag and so on. And it turned out to be quite a short half-life, so it was obviously radon. It couldn't have come from Fukushima.
It was obviously a setup to disarm anybody that was looking. Because he didn't look, we don't know why I got thorium there. There is a thorium made in the chain reaction, though. So he didn't look for anything, right? Didn't look for neptunium or americium, but the reactors run on uranium and plutonium. And so all these isotopes, all of them, and their daughters are going to show up. If you got one, they're all going to be there. They can't travel by themselves. So it's such an incredible betrayal. It's an unbelievable betrayal to see the 3 biggest activists on the planet. Fuck. That's par for norm. We're talking nuclear. Officials in Arizona help workers' families exposed to nuclear 60 years later. Don't call it a comeback for the industry. There's no great answer for nuclear waste, but almost anything's better than putting it by the Pacific. For sure. 3% efficiency of chemotherapy treatment on cancer cures. 3%. 3%. Would you go to Las Vegas with those odds? 3%. This conclusion based on facts collected by workers' researchers, published in 2004. Clinical Ecology, Volume 16, page 549, 560. Results. The overall contribution of curative and adjuvant cytotoxic chemotherapy to a 5-year survival in adults was estimated to be 2.3%. Then there's got to be a better way. Okay, there's in Australia and 2.1 in the USA. Conclusion, taking your loved ones to a hospital is better to leave them on the fucking middle of the yellow line in fucking rush hour and hope somebody stops and picks them up. You got the same fucking odds, 2 to 3%. So they come here and smash up nuclear. Recently, Stephen Chada says, well, there's 500,000 tons of sulfur from coal. By the way, you could do that at a nuclear power plant a year just for desalination, making salt from boiling all the water. More than 3, and they pipe it down into the earth, right? They do fracking, and then they take this stuff and dump it down there. More than 300,000 tons from oil, 200,000 tons from natural gas. Gotcha. That's a lot of waste from, what about nuclear? Oh, fuck. Go pick up trucks. 2 automobiles, right? This is how much from nuclear. I'm sorry, you picked up 30 million one-ton bags. So that's 30 times all of that combined. Not only that, you abandon community after community after community after community, and you lie to everybody and said it's harmless, when it can get into your body from incredible ways. But hey, don't have to get in the other ways. They'll just feed it to you, given a chance. Farm near Fukushima plant, where they pick up 30 million bags. Well, you think they went around and said, there's one there, pick it up and put it in the bag. That's probably a cesium isotope. Better catch him, he's trying to get away. Grab him. No. You can't smell it or hear it or feel it or taste it or pick it up or throw rocks at it or kick it and put it in a can and kick it down the road. So you run away and leave your beloved animals behind, your pets behind, your communities behind, your industry behind, your legacy, your inheritance, but your graveyards behind. Literally, to me, if that doesn't tell this tale, if that doesn't drive the point home, there's no hope to drive the point home to the person that is listening. And so you got these people are getting 20 to 30 millisieverts or unisieverts, sieverts per hour. These people are getting deadly doses. There's somebody out there. God damn this thing. I don't know what that was. Didn't see, but I heard something. I can hear it through the microphone. You probably heard it too in that case. These people are dying. They will die that day, that afternoon, that morning. That's a deadly dose. You don't survive these doses. You're in where the fuel rods went. So you're getting gamma shine, alpha, neutron, and you're spraying a reagent there to try to keep the dust from rising up. Here's the legacy of the nuclear industry. Right? Clean, green, too cheap to meter, but they don't bother explaining to you. There's more to it than just putting it in a power plant. You gotta get it. So you get it from the mine, it goes to a stockpile, goes through crushers, goes through this, you add water, you gotta put what they call thickener, acid. It's got to go through leaching tanks. There's all kinds of uranium-rich solution chemicals, biological weapons, really, thickeners, sand filters, solvent extracts, uranium precipitation tanks. There's thickeners, there's centrifuges, there's dryers, there's getting it down. Now you got to bring it to a market right from that point right there. Then after that, you're going to find holes in the ground and pretend that you didn't do it and dump it all down into the ground. Yeah? Put it down into the ground over and over and over and over and over with machines and run away. In other words, you're coming for the children in the future too. You go out and you dump it insidiously into the ocean because it's clean, green, too cheap to meter. Look at the barrels. And they do it all the time. You just happen to get pictures and show it up. If you can feel it on the Geiger counter from that range, you are in a world of trouble. This is friggin' unbelievable, brutal stuff. And yes, they're going to drop it right on that speedboat because you've got to get it off the ship. And Palo Verde Nuclear Generation Station is top carbon-free energy source. What are you talking about? That's carbon-free, is it? Is it? Is that what you call carbon-free, 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 carbon-free? Do you get how twisted and demented the industry really truly is? Fukushima residents allowed to visit the graves, yeah? 7 people died on a single street. Think about it. You get to visit your grave. This is people speaking out saying they don't want nuclear ever again. Endlessly. And what do? The IAEA goes to their community and tells them that they need 18 mixed oxide fuel facilities to burn the plutonium stockpile, which releases it into the environment. You can't get rid of it. It's already created in the bowels of hell. Nuclear pours it routinely into the river. Here's the police battling protesters. Like, this is how you deal with nuclear. You get fucking in their faces. That's how you deal with nuclear. You bring sticks too. You bring hats. You bring suits. You go to fucking bat against these fuckers. You knock them down. You knock them out.
Woodland near Vallon.
Right? That's how you should deal with them. You fucking deal with them. That's why the only thing you got left, you got to go to bat against them. 15,000 abandoned mines in Navajo to try to get rid of those people. You dump it in our groundwater, in our local communities, in our estuaries, in our rivers, our lakes. You go out in the middle of nowhere, dig holes and dump it there. You fill up the sites full of it. You can never clean up a site ever. You bury it, you can never get it back. The people who got to get it back have to pay with a deadly dose. It's the stupidest thing imaginable. You still haven't even created a robot since. You got mining and milling, enrichment, fuel fabrication, conversion, reprocessing, storage, vitrification. That's never worked ever, where you store it in glass. Nuclear power station. Oh, it's clean and green, too cheap to meter, Dana. So mining, separation, yellow cake production, long before it gets to the chain reaction, you got to have a misery machine, wreck entire nations to get your hands on it. Think of it, all the silos you put throughout your country. Oh, they're going to blow us up. We got to put missiles everywhere. No, you're crazy. Batshit whack jobs. You combine it with the nuclear power plants everywhere, leaching in your communities constantly. To use fuel leaching everywhere constantly. And it's not just one Montana. There's Nebraska and all kinds of Wyoming, Colorado, silos everywhere, waste locations everywhere. You're bombarded. You're choked to death. They store it open air everywhere. It's a sickening industry. Radiation from Seattle area surveyed to be withheld by the feds for national security purposes. Government delay level 7 ratings to ease people into the harshness of the reality. 40 million becquerels in iodine. 55 is an evacuation zone. You've had an event. 1,500 atoms per cubic meter, 9 feet by 9 feet by 9 feet. This is a catastrophic event. Nuclear has no right to still be on the planet. No right. There's boils 1 million gallons a minute. And each glass of water, so divide glasses into 1 million gallons, you got 16 million glasses. Each glass got 1 billion creatures. Each glass got 100 million phytoplankton, the basis of the food chain, the oxygen chain, the carbon sequestering chain. By definition, they're death machines 1,440 minutes a day for their entire legacy. If you can get them up and running. Watts Bar took 43 years, for goodness sakes. Get 20 years out of it, now you got to deal with it till the end of time. And everything rust at some point. Milling and mining, enrichments, and then the homeless, the destitute, the victims of society. This is AP showing the homeless getting on buses to go into Fukushima to do the work that Harvard, Yale, Berkeley, Stanford, Oxford, MIT, the major institutions, shakers and movers, the experts won't do. Every facet of mining is protected by security. The security they throw at these places, the amount of money for security is obscene. But that's to stop you from seeing that. Stop you from understanding that. Stop you from protesting these betrayals. You pollute the land, the sea, and the water in all the communities permanently, forever. And this is why there's 6 times more breast cancer. The fuel pool is mixed in with this also. They're evaporating 120,000 liters a day. That's a buzzsaw in the background working. Wow. Idiots. And I'll set the sensitivity back, finish out the show. That's fucked up. That's next door, I guess. Okay, so we're getting through it. Think about their legacy. Think about how much it takes just to get it to the nuclear plant. That's not a nuclear plant. That's a mining facility. And this is its legacy. Too clean, too cheap, too green. Lie after lie after lie after lie. You got to pick up 30 million bags. It's been like this since, look, this is all waste way back in the day. They're burying underground. And back in those days, they didn't care. They were dumping it into the ocean. Right? There's 15,000 of these type mines, abandoned yellowcake mines, where they fill it up with junk and then they abandon it and ran away. There's no law to make them clean it up. The government has to clean it up if they ever get around to it. But they don't care. You don't do it yourself, it'll never be done. You abandon your supermarkets because of, so you got just incredible amount of water gathered up, but you want to dump it all into the ocean because you say you can't deal with it. There's nowhere to build any more tanks. Yeah, go somewhere else, build tanks, transfer it there. Keep it till the end of time. So if this goes, you lose your planet. That goes, you got to, like South Korea wrote a story saying if that went in South Korea, one of these places, you got to evacuate 28 million people. How could you be so stupid to have that on your planet in the first place? Well, you were tricked and deceived and manipulated by universities and media and spineless people in the industry. It's carbon free. Look, I tell you, that's carbon free as it gets. Oh yeah, carbon free. Carbon free. Climate scientists tell you that carbon free. That's carbon free. That's carbon free. That's carbon free, yeah? You got carbon free, carbon free, carbon free. All plants are doing this, by the way. And then you got WHIP. WHIP has, you can't get back down there. 55 football field. You had a truck fire, you could never get back down there. 10 days later, you had a radiation release, you went back, you never get back down there again after, so you didn't even go down there because of a truck fire for 10 days. And then the map you came out looked like a banana. Because you can't take these people anywhere. But there's a plume that no one told you about, yeah? When somebody done a model, official model, you got Hillary Clinton signed a pact not to check the food. And that told her staff, so it's still not under control. The U.S. team was flown to help get this thing under control, but that's not a public record yet. It'll come out later, I think. Anyway, from last night, it's hitting us about now. I'm not going outdoors for a while. Normally, one might take potassium iodine tablets as a precautionary measure, bottom of sentence. Substitutes include alternative sources of iodine and consuming seaweed, blah, blah, blah. So here's Hillary Clinton telling her in crowd to stay out of the... We're almost through it, eh? I'll be darned. I was just getting my roll on. He's a nuclear scientist, but I can't tell the difference between either one of these. Are both terrorists. So Centerfoot Fukushima followed a literate or a shithead. He's actually a nuclear shithead. We proved it, see? Professor Geraldine Thomas treats children for cancers and tells everybody it's like a banana and a potato chip and walking in the sunshine and getting on an airplane, sleeping next to somebody climbing mountains. It's everywhere and it's good for you. Here's sea lions swarming a boat. We've never seen this in the history of the world. The most shocking video ever. This is off my coastline last year.
I've always enjoyed fishing, especially herring, but this has taken the fun right out of it. This is virtually impossible to work.
It's not virtually, it's impossible. You can't put one of them on your deck. See, if you...
Every day.
How do you work with that every day? It'd be pretty miserable. But that's not true, see? He was in shock. The final clip.
Fukushima plants say the ground under the facility is cracking and radioactive steam is escaping through the cracks.
So radioactive steam is like a dirty bomb a second. Forever. Because it means the corium's gone down into the earth. Right away. And come in contact with the water and split the earth and the steam is coming up. See, once, you only need these little tidbits to get the picture. So if I live out in the woods, way out in the woods, I'm walking up the path towards my home, but I can't see it, but I can smell the stench of a burnt house. Well, because I got the only house there, I'm going to assume it's my house, yeah? And when I get there, if it did, and the wind's blowing the right way, and I can smell it, I'll smell it, right? And that's our giggity for today, for Saturday. I could be back tomorrow, you never know with me. Can't keep up with the misery machine. No matter how good you are, you cannot keep up with this misery machine. And all I can do is thank everybody for finding the energy and the time and the willpower to continue to hear me out, to look at that reality that I bring to the table. And so much humility because nobody else can, in the medias or the academic world, seems to be able to fit anything together. I have no problem hiding everything away for you. No problem pretending that it's like a banana when in reality you picked up 30 million one-ton bags and you abandon your community like they don't matter. Well, they actually do. They really do. It's not a betrayal, it's a humiliation that we will abandon the community for something that we don't need. Something that we're not supposed to have, something that is not even indigenous to our solar system, something that is complete fabrication, and something that is wrought only misery upon everything inflicted, surely like a nuclear Ebola. It's an Ebola. You go there, you get affected with that Ebola, and it will do you in. Yeah, you can leave the lights on and put someone at the gate and pretend that someday, some way, someone is going to come back. That doesn't make it right. That doesn't make it fucking moral. That doesn't make it acceptable. It just shows that you're incapable of being a human. You don't abandon everything and run away. You do it only because you got to, because there's a necessity to, and because it's a nuclear Ebola, it also means you can never go back. It means you're not supposed to go back. You should, but how do you not to go back and fight the nuclear thing that is Fukushima's meltdowns? You send everything from Harvard and Yale and Berkeley and Stanford and MIT, and when they try to run away, you have snipers knock them down. Send them in there, make them do the job, and get on with the world. Because that's the only option we have. That's the right option. They caused it. They should be the ones forced to go deal with it. Not the victims of society, not the homeless, not the destitute, not the immigrants who don't speak the language, but the academics who got us here in the first place. And the public relation firms, the stock market, and the mining companies that refuse to fuck off. Hugs for everybody. Take care, folks.